What's up, guys? Trevor here. I'm sitting in my office this morning and I wanted to talk about what it's actually like to be a listing agent. This is, again, just my experience. Hopefully you find it helpful. So I quit my businesses. Well, I didn't quit, but sold them and decided to do this back in October last year. So that would be 2024. So 7-8 months in, I've done about 30 deals so far. It's roughly 3 to 5 of them a month, which has been solid. But one thing I didn't know, because I was used to the marketing of construction, is the lead gen process. And one thing I quickly learned is you really only got a couple of options. Myself, I'm the main income producer of my family, so I didn't have time to wait around to establish my brand and wait on people to just start calling me out of the blue. So I needed something a little quicker, and the options for that are pay per lead, something like Zillow.com, Realtor.com, where you're buying leads and then kind of hashing it out with other agents to get buyers. Or, my firm provides some soft leads. Again, most of them are buyers, and you can chase them down and email them and call them and text them on a regimen, and hopefully one of them will actually turn into a real buyer. You can reach out to your sphere of influence, friends, family, network, let them know, hey, you're an agent now, this is what you're doing, if you need any services, blah, blah. But that's a timing thing. I mean, you can't control when people are going to be moving. So I decided to do something a little more aggressive. I decided I was going to cold call directly to the people I know for a fact want to sell, because ultimately I wanted to be a listing agent because you get to control your schedule a little bit more. So my schedule's pretty standard. I get to the office, roughly it's like 8 to 4, 8 to 5. I get here early because I like to have some personal time. I do, some Bible study. I do just some mental prep. I like to just have some time to myself, quiet, nobody's around, opportunity to do this, make a video, whatever. But I get here, and from roughly 8 to noon, I'm on the phones Monday through Friday. And I'm calling people, again, that I know for a fact want to sell. That would be for sale by owners, because they've literally raised their hand, hey, I want to sell my house. Now I'm doing it on my own. I don't necessarily want to work with an agent, but I do want to sell. The other ones would be expired listings, so people that tried to sell and failed, and their contract with their prior agent has expired. So if you can get their information, you can call them and you can offer your service. There's a variety of people out there that can teach you, what to say, how to say it, basic scripts and all these kind of things. But the biggest thing that I had to learn for myself is what separates me as a listing agent from any other agent. And that took a little bit of deep diving and really honing in my process. And I've kind of honed it down into roughly an 8-week program that I pitched to get people's homes sold. And it's been working pretty consistently. We're getting new contracts in, we're getting properties sold, and getting them sold for what we need to get them sold for, oftentimes more. We've had a recent shift in the market that's making things a little more challenging, and we're kind of reworking the program. But this is sort of what I've been doing. And so this was my attempt at getting immediate business, and it worked. So I started in October. I was top producer in November. I was top producer again in January. I think I've been top producer at least 4 or 5 times since I've joined the firm, meaning I had the most amount of contracts or closings out of my entire firm, which is 40 people, and I'm the new guy. So this system works. If you want that immediate business while you're in the background working on your brand, which I am doing slowly, I'm trying to establish, who I want to market to, how I want to push it. Do I want to use social media? I enjoy YouTube, so I'm putting things out on YouTube. Do I want to look at signage and stuff that's going to be around my town? How do I want to establish my brand? And ultimately, long term, that'll turn into referrals and cold calls that call into me. I also am trying to work on a program for client retention, right? We don't want transactional business here. Once we service somebody, we don't want to, hey, great working with you, never see you again. There's got to be a way to communicate long-term with them and build that relationship, because this business is heavy relationship. Not much different than the construction world. In the construction world, when you're new, when I was new, my outlet was pay per lead. So I just paid for leads, and then I'd compete and get the projects. And over time, my brand got established, and I started getting people that called in to me. But real estate's just a little bit different. These are huge transactions, multi-$100,000 transactions. Some people only make one or two of them in their entire lifetime. So it's pretty serious business, and it's most people's largest asset. And they're trusting you, the listing agent, to take good care of their largest asset and their largest transaction. And they want to make sure that they have the absolute best agent that's going to work hardest for them. You have to be that person. And if you don't believe you're that person, it's going to be really hard for you to convince somebody else that you're that person and have them hire you. So I apologize, I've got a little bit of a sinus thing going on. I don't know if there's a shift in the weather, whatever. Anyway, I may sound a little groggy, but the reality of the listing agent is it is a grind. I mean, a hustle. We're a dime a dozen, and the general public thinks that we're all the same. The general public doesn't even understand the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. And some agents don't understand the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent. Most of them will take whatever comes their way. You want to buy? I'll help you buy. You want to sell? I'll help you sell. But they're not specialists. So I've decided to be a specialist. I don't work with buyers. I've worked with a couple that were just friends and family. But the general public, I refer it out to. I've got a lady in my firm that I've decided to work with. And if I get a buyer that's not a personal or family member, I refer them to her, because she has that ability to focus on it, whereas I'm focused on listings. I'm focused on getting the listings I have sold, and I'm focused on getting new listings. I learned from the other businesses, it is very challenging to focus on more than a handful of things. You can do it, but you're not going to do any of them well. So if I want to become the best agent in my area, the best listing agent, I'm going to have to focus on only that. As y'all know from watching this channel, me and my wife are still flipping, and we have one at Airbnb. Those two other items, the day and day, my wife is the main head of that way I can focus right here. The times I come into play are when we're ready to sell, or when there's like a major construction issue or order material, things of this nature, and I just work that into my schedule. The Airbnb, I'm simply the guy that responds to our guests, but my wife is the one that's on site actually managing that property. Any repairs that pop up that need to be done, I just send some subcontractors out there and get it handled. No big deal. My main focus out of everything that we're doing is this right here, listings. This is how I plan on providing for my family. So if you are in real estate or thinking about getting into real estate or just curious about this is what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I've got a little sheet right here, and I keep all this stuff right here on the board as my daily kind of motivations. But every single appointment that I get, I write it down and I make notes about it. It's old school, super old school. And this way, every appointment I get, I know exactly where I met, who I met, when I met, and I know if they ended up using me or not. And then I can hone my process and my system, because I can calculate, okay, well, I've been on, let's see, 85 appointments. I've taken the listings out of that, so I can figure out my conversion ratios. And then, okay, well, now that I know my conversion ratio, what can I do to improve that, right? I mean, how do I take more of these listings on the appointments that I'm going on? How do I set more appointments? You know, I mean, I've set the 85 appointments. How do I set double that? And then out of that, how do I take more of those and increase that conversion ratio? And I can actually start to hone my craft on the both sales side and the getting them sold side. So far, I have never had a property not sell. I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. And when it does, I'm going to figure out why, hone the craft, and make adjustments. That way I can always be improving. Okay. I also work with a coach. I, out of my own personal money, when we didn't have much because we were transitioning, I paid for a real estate specific coach. That way, again, I can start to hone my craft. You know, you don't know what you don't know. So the quicker you can learn it and you can bypass the learning curve, the better. And if you can learn from someone else's experiences and someone else's failures, the better. This applies to any business. I mean, if you're starting into something fresh and new, find somebody that's a veteran and learn from them. I also work with somebody within my own firm that's sort of my broker in charge, effectively, the CEO of the company, and she meets with me once a week, and we kind of just go over stuff, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly. How's your week going? How many appointments have you set? How many have you closed? How many contracts have you signed? How many offers have you taken? How many times have you had to price reduce a property? How many offers have you gotten on your properties this week? How are your clients responding to you? Is everybody happy? Blah, 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 blah. And we just dive into it. And then we dive into the nitty gritty. What's your conversion ratios? This, that, and the third. How can we get that better? Same thing with the coach. It's important to get help. As again, you just don't know what you don't know. And I, although have been in real estate for quite some time, I have never acted on this side of things. I was always, on the investor side of things, the buyer, the remodeler, whatever. I mean, I was doing different areas of real estate. So this is new to me, and that's okay. But I'm gonna try to combat my learning curve as much as possible by getting outside help. I am not an expert. I'm not making this video claiming to be an expert. I'm simply making this video to tell you what I've done, and it is working. As the new guy, like I said, I've been taking more contracts and getting more closings than some of the veterans. Well, actually all of them, I guess, because I've been getting top producer several occasions. So I'm closing more deals than people that have been in real estate for 10 plus years. I'm closing as many deals as some of the people that have been in real estate 10 plus years. I'm anticipating 40 to 50 deals for this first year. My next year, my target is gonna be double that. I wanna reach 100 deals. I'm gonna have to work like my butt off for that, but that's okay. This is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it. Just figured I'd share that, maybe you guys find it interesting, maybe not, but like I've said a number of times, this channel is about transparency. We've been talking a lot about the recent flip activity and some of the struggles we're navigating with some of those, as well as the Airbnb, so I did want to make, a more real estate focused video about what I'm doing here. So my schedule is pretty straightforward, like I said, roughly 8 to 5. So the morning time is dedicated to prospecting and prospecting only. I normally take a break about midway, go get a snack, do whatever. Go to the gym. My afternoons, if I don't have appointments, ideally I have set an appointment and I go on that. But if I don't, I will do more prospecting or future marketing. So brand development, working on my listing presentation, graphics, marketing, or if there's a need, I can float and handle some stuff on one of the flips or the Airbnb or something if there is a need for that. But ideally I try to keep in my lane. So it's also going to be focusing on getting the current properties sold, right? So that's reverse prospecting and reaching out to people, potential buyers, things of this nature. So that's sort of the way the schedule breaks down. It's simple, it's easy, but it's simple, not easy. There you go. So hopefully you found this guy helpful. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.